This is training for M Internship 1 students and university supervisors. We will be going through the assignments and other information that's relative to the internship. So we have given you two different instruments by which to see when your items are due. You have the semester timeline, where you can see in this format. First day of class is August the 22nd. Lesson plans. First formative is due. So you've got everything arranged in this format. But you also should have, and if you haven't received your packet by email if you're a university supervisor, or in the mail if you are a student, you should be receiving that soon. And you can go back through this video again, or you can wait until you get your packet and restart the video. But the calendar is in the form of a calendar. It gives you what is due throughout the semester. So for university supervisors only, you're going to have a place in Watermark where you're going to have to click, and it's called confirmation of training, and just put in when you were trained. You can put fall 2018, and if it's through this video, you can put online. If you're able to attend one of the face-to-face sessions, you can put fall 2018, and when you attend the session. Or of course, if this was you're watching this and it's spring 19, then, and that's the first time you were trained, you would put that date. So one of the main components of your grade will be evaluations. Your university supervisor is going to visit for 4 evaluations, and you're going to see on the timeline or the calendar that these evaluations are going to occur in about let's see, this one, first formative begins 9/4 and ends 9/14. That just means that the university supervisor can choose any time during this period to conduct that first evaluation. And if the supervisor has scheduled to come on, say the 14th is when they're going to come, then the student has to have 2 sets of lesson plans uploaded into Watermark by then. And when I'm saying Watermark, if you're familiar with TaskStream, Watermark was TaskStream. TaskStream purchased several different companies like itself and merged to become Watermark. Our project coordinator, Tiffany Middleton, should have already created you an account. Of course, she can't create your password, so she creates the account. And then Watermark will send you an email for you to complete the process and assign a password. If you've had a TaskStream account in the past, it still should be active, and it still should be, you should be able to use it. If you're a student, you would just have to renew that account. If you are a university supervisor, you would it should still be active. If not, and you're in question, you can call Tiffany Middleton, 662-325-0028. That's 662-325-0028, and she can help you out with any of your Watermark issues. But you can see that a good bit of your grade will be from the assessments. But of course, the formative, you've got a first formative, you have a second formative. Those are conducted, they are graded, but the points do not actually go towards your grade. You've got your first summative that's due between the 15th and the 26th of October. And then you have the second summative due between November the 5th and November the 16th. So basically, you need to understand the instrument by which that university supervisor will assess each of these dispositions. And we call that instrument the TIAI. And for that instrument, training on that instrument, you can go to ocfbi.msstate.edu, try that one more time. There we go. So you go to ocfbi.msstate.edu, go to Teaching Internship, scroll down to Training, and you'll want to go through the TIAI, that's the Teacher Intern Assessment Instrument that will be used, evaluation modules. And when you click on that link, it's going to take you to a site. We have three common instruments that we use across the state: Mississippi State, USM, Blue Mountain, Southern, Ole Miss, all use the same TIAI. They all use the same dispositions, statewide dispositions, and then we have also have an MOU that we use that's common to all universities. So a group of educators at the different institutions came together and created this training. Actually, Tiffany Middleton created the bulk of the Prezi, and then some others assisted with getting this together. So you have to create an account here. Once you create your account, what this is going to let you go through the different domains within the TIAI, and it's going to explain each one to you, and then it's going to give you a few questions at the end of each to help you gauge your understanding. So the TIAI itself is broken into these categories. It assesses your planning, your ability to assess, to deliver instruction, to set up and maintain and adjust the learning environment, and then professional responsibilities. And these are the indicator. There's 25, and then you can make on each indicator unacceptable all the way through exceeds. In order to pass, you would need the majority in this meet standard realm, but you would always, and I say this all the time, you would always, for every assignment, we have a rubric, so you would always want to try to get this exceed standard for every item that you can. Now we'll delve into looking at assignments. One of the assignments you have in this internship is called Observation 1, Instructional Planning and Delivery. For this assignment, you will need to find another teacher within your school, or maybe there's this rock star teacher at another school in the district and you know that she's just a really strong teacher in planning and delivery of instruction. What you'll need to do for this assignment is you'll need to meet with that teacher before you observe the teacher and ask questions. And you'll get a copy of all these assignments, but you ask all of the questions. Then you'll set up, of course you're asking what are the objectives that you're going to be teaching on whatever day you will observe this teacher. So then you go back and observe the teacher, and it's just a simple paper where you're going to write it in a paper format, making sure to address all of the questions within the assignment. And like I said, for every assignment there is a rubric. This is the rubric that goes with that particular assignment, and you will always want to write to the highest part of the assignment. You'll see that a lot of your assignments are not on the same scale. Remember the exceeds target for TIAI. For most of the assignments, this is the scale. You either get an acceptable, or target. And then you have another assignment, the Observation 2. This does not require an interview before you observe the teacher, and for this you're looking for classroom management. So maybe you're at the high school, but there might be a 6th grade teacher at the elementary that is, he has great routines in place. Students have jobs, they know what their jobs are. There's no behavior issues. He is just very efficient at classroom management. You would want to find that person, whoever that person is, and observe a lesson. And then you would then make sure that you have all of the components within the paper after you've made your observation, you just write a short paper, making sure that you have all of those answers, and this is the rubric for that. Again, always shoot for target on all of the rubrics. Then you have collaboration assignments. So for the collaboration assignments, there are a host of components to that. So that's the rubric. Let me find the assignment instructions. For the collaboration assignment, one of the main parts of it, it's going to require that you have a plan. It's going to have you plan goals in 3 areas. So what are my goals? What are your goals for the semester around family, collaborating with family? What are your goals? What is a goal around collaborating with community and then with other colleagues? You're going to have artifacts. The family involvement plan, your artifacts will be your parent introduction letter, your 2 involvement activities, which we'll talk about, and your communication log. So that's going to be taken care of with 3 different rubrics that I'll show you in just a moment. But then there's actually a rubric for this assignment as well. And this just further explains each of those components. So the parent introductory letter, you're just going to write a letter at the very beginning of the semester, send it out so that your students' families are introduced to you. You tell them a little bit about yourself, your philosophy, not anything too personal. Then you are going to have to pull together and write about at least 2 forms of communication. So did you write newsletters home? Did you host a donuts with dad or a muffins with mom or an activity? Did you invite little Susie's mother who's a nurse or aunt who's a dentist or uncle who's a garbage man or who to the class to give them information about their career as it relates to something that you're covering in the class? Just examples. And there are other examples you'll see in the assignment. And then the communication log, of course, you're going to have actually a log where you keep documentation of various communications with parents throughout the semester. Then community involvement, you're going to keep artifacts where you have written a letter to somebody out in the community just to ask that they be a guest speaker, or maybe you've had someone come in from a civic group to read to your class, or maybe you put together a project-based activity that helped with a community situation. And then professional collaboration, you can keep notes from a faculty meeting, an IEP meeting. Maybe you have PLCs, professional learning communities, and you can keep notes from one of those and talk about in this artifact the product or plan of that team meeting. So this is just to get you used to what you should be doing every semester for the rest of your teaching career. So let's look at the parent introduction instructions. Just gives you the instructions for that. Gives you the rubric, just one small little rubric. Then the parent log. It's basically a short little rubric like that. I may not have it saved in here. Here we go. Parent involvement log. So, short rubric for that. And then, I believe this is the family involvement rubric. This is where you're going to actually write about activities that you planned or methods that you communicated. Okay. Another activity is the impact on student learning. This is a pretty large assignment. This is going to require that you determine usually something that would take at least a week. We usually tell our undergraduate interns something that would take 2 weeks, maybe a unit that you want to focus on for this assignment. You're going to look at or pull together data, contextual factors, your assistant principal or a lead teacher, department head. Maybe you have a mentor teacher. Someone can probably help you locate this information. A lot of it can be found on the Mississippi Department of Education's website, but you're going to pull together and consider the contextual factors that are listed here. You're going, because these are going to have to be included in your paper. You're then going to consider the learning goals that you would have for that time period, and you'll put together a pre-assessment that covers the bulk of all of those goals, and you're going to administer that pre-assessment. You're going to have to look at the data and really analyze the data for the pre-assessment, and that's when you'll make your plan. Because when you do the pre-assessment, you may find out that all of the students know about the general parts of the SEL, so you don't need to spend a lot of time on that because they got that, in years before. So you would want to fashion your lesson plans based on the pre-assessment data. You would then deliver the instruction, teach those lesson plans for those number of days, and then during which you would be conducting formative assessments just to gain understanding. You might even give some quizzes, some summative assessments on some of the portions of the lessons. But then at the very end, when you're finished teaching, you would give a post-assessment, and it could be the same assessment that you gave at the beginning. So once you have all of these data, you're going to have to analyze the data from the post-assessment. You're going to look at the performance analysis on different levels. You want to look at the performance analysis of the whole group, the whole class. And let's say you're a biology teacher. You wouldn't do this for all classes all day long. You would pick second period maybe to do this assignment. And if you're an elementary teacher, you would pick, of course, and let's say you teach several different classes of science. You would only pick one. So whole group, subgroups, and you get to pick what subgroups you want to, but it has to be at least 2 subgroups from the contextual factors. So let's say you're going to look at how the boys performed against how the girls, how those that don't have to pay for their lunch, they get free lunch, performed against those whose parents pay for their lunch. And then individual, you're going to select at least 2 students who represent different performance levels and use their data. So basically, if you follow all of the directions within this, you're going to have tables, charts, graphs included. You're going to end up with about a 15 to 20 page paper usually. It tells you how to organize the paper step by step. And this, like I said, is a major assignment. All of these assignments are in place because of accreditation standards. And if we aren't accredited, then if you go through our program, would not be able to be licensed. The Mississippi Department of Education won't license anyone who graduated from a teacher preparation program that was not accredited. So every one of these assignments are based on accreditation standards, and they have a purpose. So always write to target, as I said, or to whatever the highest on the rubric. So then you have an end of placement reflection that you have to do. End of placement reflection. This just is another short paper that you have to write, and it causes you to reflect back over the placement and answer these questions within the form of the paper. Not a big deal. I would caution you not to get behind, though. This can be very overwhelming if you let yourself get behind, especially if this is your first semester teaching. and you have no education background, and even if you did, I mean, even our undergraduates that go through our education program can get overwhelmed in internship, and they can get overwhelmed in their first year or two of teaching. So I would caution you to get up every morning and work a little bit, or stay up a little bit later at night and work a little bit, whatever is whatever you find best. I mean, some people get up early, some people it's easier to stay up late at night. But chip away at all that you have to do as a teacher a little bit at a time. You can't be an effective teacher. I was a teacher for a number of years. You cannot be an effective teacher and do everything in one planning period. It's just not possible to do that in a perfect world, but if you're really meeting the needs of all of your students, that's not possible to do that. So end of placement reflection. You're also going to have some assessments that will not, like the TIAI necessarily, there's not a paper for you to submit or whatnot. You've got a CAPA, Content Area Performance Assessment, that your university supervisor will assess you on your content knowledge, and that's not something that you have to submit. That's just something that the university supervisor gauges based on what they observe and what they see in your planning. It does not count towards your grade. It's just an assessment that we have to have for accreditation purposes. You also have 2 different dispositions. Now, this is the first semester that we've had 2 different dispositions, but you will have the MSU dispositions. That's something that's been in place for a long time. And this dispositions assessment instrument, again, nothing that you have to submit, but you will be graded on attendance, punctuality, dependability, appropriate dress, all these things, oral communication, belief that all students can learn, so attitude. So your university supervisor will grade you on all of these areas, and this does count. This one does count toward your grade. This one does not. This is a statewide instrument that will be used to assess interns and undergraduate and graduate internships and teacher prep programs across Mississippi. This one is based completely on the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, and this will not count for your grade this semester. So basically that is the information that I need to share with you. I will say that we need university supervisors to keep us in the loop. If we have students that are struggling, we really want to know about it. If we have students that are consistently late on assignments and you feel like they're getting farther and farther behind, we need to know so that we can come behind and be their cheerleader and encourage them to manage their time more wisely. Students, I would caution you at the very beginning of the school year to get your hands on the faculty handbook. Hopefully you'll be in a district where you're going to get some good induction, where you're going to have some support. That's not always the case. In fact, with our alternate route, a lot of times that's not the case. So you're going to possibly have to ask for a faculty handbook, a student handbook, other resources like that you need. You need to know early on as the teacher of record, what do I do if this bell sounds and it's not your typical dismiss a class bell? Is that a tornado? If it's a tornado or a tornado drill, where do I carry the students? What is the sound? Is it a fire drill or a fire? And what do I do with the students? What is the dress code? What is the policy for letting administration know if I'm going to be out? Just the simple things like that you need to know what to do. But we are here at Mississippi State to support you. Your first line of communication is Susan Stewart. Her number is 662-325-0057, I believe. 662-325-7684 is my number. We're always here to support you, and we want to see you successful. 0527 is her. 662-325-0527 is Susan's number, which I'm sure she's great, and you already know Susan very well. So that is it for today for the MATM Internship 1 training. Thank you.